Hello. So one of the assignments that we have coming up is for you to be writing out some lesson plans. And we haven't had much time in class to be able to discuss that, nor do I think we're going to have a ton of time in class to discuss that. So for those of you, especially who like to work ahead, but for everybody, this is going to be an assignment that you have due. Let's take a look at that assignment and let me give you some guidance within there. So I'm going to head to the modules. You can see the content that you would normally see. There's a few things here that you're seeing that you haven't seen yet, but we're going to go here down to your assignment called lesson plans. And the instructions there say to use the attached template to create a progression of skills. So I am looking for a progression. And we're looking at flag football, which is the same unit that we're in right now. We're going to have the same assignment for each of the upcoming 4 units, although it will change slightly from unit to unit. For football, we're looking at 4 days of instruction. We want to make sure that every day has a warm-up like we talked about earlier when we've been together. We want to make sure that every class has some kind of closing where we're going to have students sort of reinforce or really understand, hopefully put into longer term memory what it is that they were doing and learning. I also am giving you the freedom. You can be planning that you are dealing with middle school kids or high school kids. Just tell me what you're planning so that as I read your lesson plans, I'm approaching it with the correct mentality. And for each of the 4 days of instruction that you're planning for, each day is 50 minutes in length. Now, when it comes to the lesson plans, I encourage you actually not to create one completely on your own. Don't start from scratch. Instead, you can follow this link here to be able to follow and find some ideas. A general Google search will give you all kinds of different recommendations. Some will be good, some won't be good. What I'm encouraging you to do is use as many resources as you can. Look at 1 or 2, maybe 3 different sites that share lesson plans. Pick out for yourself what's the progression that makes most sense to you. What do you want the progression to be? And what are the activities that you want to be doing to be able to teach the skills that you want them to walk away from? So I super encourage you not to create it all on your own, but to borrow it from other sites. But I do not want you just simply cutting and pasting that information. Instead, use their ideas, take their ideas, use the drills, use the information that they have to be able to create a progression that makes sense for you, and then put in that information into the template. But don't just copy completely 4 days from some other source. Instead, put some of your own effort, some of your own thought, and definitely your own personality into how those classes are going to look. So, having said that, then, if we take a look at the lesson plan template itself, here is a sample piece. So this cover page is just trying to give you some recommendations or interpretation rather about what each of these different areas represent. You need to tell me whether you're going to be doing middle or high school. What age group are you planning for? And then this is the template and just says day 1. You'll be putting in whatever the title of the day focus is. So it may be throwing and catching, it may be running routes, it may be whatever it is that you're going to be working on. You'll have a title for the day's lesson. Your opening is just going to be telling students the general information about what they're going to be learning that day. Like, these are the things I want you to focus on. A lot of education focuses on a what, why, how delivery right now. So that format would be what is it, what are the specific skills or drills that we're going to be doing? Why are we working on those things? What's the value? What use is it for you as a student? Why would you be interested in learning and investing and developing these areas? And the how is how will you as the student know whether you are getting better? What are the cues or the things for you to be paying attention to so you know whether you are improving? So how do I know that I'm improving? What am I learning today? Why is it important to me? And how am I going to know if I'm getting better? You can see that that should be less than 3 minutes. We don't want to be talking, or I don't think we want to be talking to students for a long time at the opening of class. That's part of my personality. Then as you get into here, this is a simplified lesson plan. All I'm going to be asking from you at this point is for you to tell me for each stage, how long is the activity going to take? Tell me about what the activity is. Tell me what you're going to be giving to students as far as cues. Not every activity is going to have cues, but for any time that you are asking them to learn a new skill, then we're giving them a few cues that they can remember. That's not so much that a beginning learner who's in that cognitive stage isn't going to be overwhelmed. I don't want to give them 8 cues or 12 cues or 15 things to be paying attention to. And again, not everything that you do, not every drill that you do is necessarily going to have cues. But every drill and every activity you do is going to be organized some way. So tell me how you plan to have this class organized. I want you to visualize about 40 kids. How are you going to have these kids organized? So maybe that you have them in groups, and maybe that you have them working individually, maybe that you have them working in partners. Where are they spread out across the field? How close are they? That general information. I want you visualizing, and I want to be able to read across and look at, okay, so we're going to be doing this for this amount of time. Here's what we're going to be doing. Here's what I should be able to tell the kids. Here's how I want to organize them to be thinking about safety, to be able to think about being able to cycle through to give feedback, to be able to think about just not losing transition time by sending them way too far away. And then the last thing I'm going to ask you to be thinking about for each single moment of your lesson plan is what equipment do you need? How many footballs? Do you need cones? Do you need pennies? Do people need stopwatches? Are they going to be videoing each other on iPads so that they can evaluate their own performance? Whatever it is, you're going to be putting the equipment in here. So should you need more than these spaces, then you could just highlight in here and tell it that you want to add another row so you can extend this out. It doesn't all have to fit onto one page. This is just a really basic format. So that's where you see any additional rows, you can just add them in. You got full freedom to do that. And then the last is just your closing. Remember, we want to bring them back together to reinforce what did they learn today. So here is a blank version of all of that, which you would just highlight the entire thing, copy and paste it so that you have a day 1, a day 2, a day 3, and a day 4. And then you will fill in each of those days uniquely with these pieces. And what I should be able to see across the day is a progression from a warm-up all the way through the different activities. So whatever it is that you're trying to teach, I should see that either getting more complicated bit by bit, like we're only spending 50 minutes for a class period, but I should be able to see a progression both in the day, within the day, and from day 2 to day 3 to day 4, I should see a progression there. So those are the basic things that I'm looking for. If you run into any questions, please let me know. And again, I do give you full authority and even encourage you to be using outside resources. Just don't copy and paste without thinking about them. Instead, think about how you want your days to run. Okay, that is it. Let me know if there's anything else I can be doing to help you, and we will move together from there. Have a good rest of the day.